Good morning and welcome to yet another interesting monthly Indo-German Business Talks from Indo-German Center of Business Excellence. In this monthly talks, we pick those topics which are pertinent to Indo-German business relationships. My name is Devender Maggo and I am your host today, and I am also a member of board of Indo-German Center. Today's topics will revolve around entrepreneurship, startups and FinTechs. With the increasing number of Indians coming to Germany and a lot of German companies going to India, we have been seeing a lot of traction which is happening between India and Germany. Our topics will ensure that we cover the significant key areas which impact these startups and FinTechs directly. I am honored and I am privileged that today I have with me Dr. Sebastian Schaefer, who is a behavioral economist and an entrepreneur himself. He was instrumental in founding TechQuartier in Frankfurt and headed Goethe University's Entrepreneurship and Incubator. He is closely connected to academia world and is a lecturer and a guest speaker at Goethe University, Frankfurt School of Finance and at University of Zurich. Along with him is Vishnu Nagaraj, who is himself an entrepreneur. He's a startup advisor, twice as a TEDx speaker and founder and CEO of Kava Startup Labs, which is in Bangalore and in Berlin. He has been as an Indian representative, speaker, mentor for various startup initiatives across the world, and he has been involved as a mentor in more than 200 plus startup ecosystems. Sebastian and Vishnu, welcome once again. We'll start with a few questions to our speakers today, and then we'll open the floor for questions from our audience. So let's dive in right now. As we begin with our talks today, I would request both of you to give us a quick overview of the startup scene in India and in Germany. So maybe beginning with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and happy to join the conversation. A few facts maybe on the German ecosystem. The German ecosystem, startup ecosystem, grew tremendously over the last 2 decades, I would say. We have, as of today, around 30 unicorns, so those companies who are valued above 1 billion that are still private, not listed. Among these, I guess some household brands, names like N26 or Trade Republic, Raisin from the FinTech space, but we have also others like Personio, DeepL, an AI startup from Cologne, the maybe less known company compared to Aleph Alpha, which was in the press over the last couple of months a lot. So these are just to mention a few of the really big startups that made it to the scale-up and unicorn stage. In terms of like the market and the setup, it's important to know that Germany is heavily based on small and medium-sized enterprises. So this is the biggest economic impact. It has some big companies like and also corporates like SAP, one of the maybe most successful companies of the last 50 years in Germany. But many of the other companies are smaller, right? And so one of the big market trends and triggers is, of course, the topic of digitalization, also for this segment of the economy. And this is where also startups have a big opportunity. So you see a lot in the B2B space, yeah? Helping really companies to innovate, to digitize. The activity in general, what we see on the startup level, has been around 2,500 newly founded companies per year. Yeah? And that spreads quite evenly across the country. There are some hotspots like Berlin or Munich, Hamburg, but also Nordrhein-Westfalen and also Frankfurt have an equal share. So, for example, Frankfurt and Hessen have around 200 of new startups every year. Berlin is around the double size, but that is quite characteristic for Germany as a federal state consisting of 16 states with different centers. It's not highly concentrated and focused like perhaps UK or Paris, but it's spread more evenly, and you have a lot of activities across the country, and you see it also in the stats. Germany has the most cities in the rankings compared to other EU companies. So 9 are among the top 50 in Europe. That's more than any other country in Europe.
Correct. And I would say that, similar kind of scene you can also see in the companies or the Mittelstand. They are not focused on a specific city, but if you see, they are spread across in Germany, and I think that's a very, very good thing. What's your view, Vishnu, on the startup and entrepreneurship in India? How is it coming up?
Yeah, thanks a lot, first Dave, for this wonderful opportunity. Also, it's a great to share a speaker panel with Sebastian. Thanks a lot. For answering the question, now the entire globe knows the way India is emerging in this particular sector. So as per the Startup India, also 140K plus startups are registered in the country, which state level policies implemented, and every city is booming with different sector. And India is known for that digital, the technology relevant company, even 100 plus unicorns, etc. It's going even in the education level with lots of initiatives like incubators, etc. In each and every corner in India, now the startup is like booming, like it's coming out. Specifically, when we say when it comes to the technology related things, of course, FinTech, I can probably say that India is having lots of advanced things. That's why even the Europes and all is open. The opportunities are now open. Many countries now seeking the Indian startups and talents in the sense of entrepreneurship related things is happening. And yeah, especially as I told you, the digital software sector, we are emerging. Now the face is moving to different domains like even the hardware related, brand related, even now the lots of SMEs, as Sebastian said, many countries, big SME sectors and all looking India for the cost effective and trustful and long lasting production manufacturing house, and lots of collaboration is happening. So if you see not only from the central startup policy, in the state level policies also, many cities are emerging and the startups are growing in India.
Absolutely.
Even as I told you, from startup education level, going to implement in a bigger level also, it's going. Yeah.
Agree more to you, Vishnu, or Sebastian, what you mentioned. And I think India is also, becoming a hub for the GCCs as well. What I would like to understand is that how does the startup ecosystem actually differs in both the countries? If you can just quickly tell me, because we see a lot of similar kind of initiatives taken by the governments at both sides. But what is the difference that you would see in India and in Germany? So maybe Vishnu, if you can just take this question.
So when it comes to India, I am a student entrepreneur. I started my first IoT-based companies, etc., in my college in third year. So the culture from that point, I can say we are open to do that kind of a do and fail culture. Like we can test. Even there are lots of initiative happens in India, which give us to a quick, aggressive, and we can say jugaad kind of solution, which we in India there is a culture of it. We can go and try and do. And that's why even the student entrepreneurship level also it's very high in India. So that kind of give us an environment to quickly grow in each and every corner. Now that beyond cities, the major tier one cities also, it's booming. So, but when it comes to, even I started my companies in Germany. So there it's very precise. They will see which will be very planned, organized. They will see that outcome oriented, which I, as per my knowledge and experience in India, we can, yes, let's do it kind of. But when it comes to Germany, you have to give them the accurate, precise things. They will see whether, okay, if you do this, whether it work, then only they will get in. So which comes in India, you can do it. I failed twice before I started CSL.
No, I
But
can't.
that knowledge, I got it from the both companies was different. But I tried this, as per my knowledge and experience in India, this is the culture.
Can't agree more to what you said. Sebastian, what is your view? Does it, echo what Vishnu just mentioned?
Yeah, it does. It does. There's this saying: if you succeed in Germany, you will succeed in every other place and every other country. And there's a bit truth to it, I think. There's a tendency to have this engineering perspective on the startup journey, and that sometimes hinders and makes things a bit more complicated, because in the very early stage it's about discovering, validating, failing fast, and this sometimes doesn't help the startups to really get off the ground. In particular, if you're trying to get into like contact and partnerships with established companies. Right? So it needs always a venturesome economy to thrive as an entrepreneur. And I would say the venturesome economies are a bit more pronounced in other regions of the world, and that has certainly also to do a bit with our education system, the role entrepreneurs have, the media that covers the stories. So I think there's still a bit to improve in Germany.
Okay. Let's see, I think for the startups and all, the biggest thing that we have always heard is about the funding and investments. And I think the private sector plays a very vital role in this, apart from what government initiatives are going on. And Indian investments in Germany startups have been on a rise in recent years, reflecting the growth collaboration between the two countries. And if you see, the German investment in Indian startups have been growing steadily, and German companies and venture capitalists are increasingly looking at India as a destination for attractive returns. So how do you see the funding landscape in India and Germany if you compare both of them? So Sebastian, what's your view on that?
Starting from a global perspective, I mean, the good news is that venture capital is a bit more evenly spread around the globe. We used to have a high concentration in the Valley, and that is still the case, and the Valley is still leading on most dimensions. But you see that in China, in India, also in Europe, that the ecosystems have matured, have gotten the interest of also foreign VCs to invest, and that's a very good trend we see. And I think it's also healthy for the overall global startup industry. In Germany per se, as I said, the ecosystem matured, and we have much more VC. We have many more professional investors that are investing into the industry. And even though we experienced this dip over the last 2 years, you see that we are recovering. The industry is not it didn't disappear. It's not gone. It's still there. So I think compared to the last crisis, we are better equipped. But of course, I mean, if you compare Germany with the amounts of dollars invested into the Indian company, it's of course quite a gap, right? We had like 17 billion, as I remember correctly, in 2021 at peak times, and now we are down to 6, 7 billion, right?
Yeah.
And certainly there can be much more done, in particular for the later stage funding. Yeah, we are pretty good in early stage funding, early stage growth, but when it comes to scaling companies, yeah, also internationally, and building actually category leaders for the respective segments, we have a gap. Yeah, and here Germany has some more homework to do.
No doubt about that. For our audiences, you can see probably a slido.com, a QR code, and you can please scan it and let us know if there are any questions from your side, and we'll be happy to address few of them if time permits. Vishnu, just over to you. The startup ecosystem cannot work without an incubator, accelerator, and an innovation hub. And what role do you see that they play when it comes to the startups in India?
Yes, this kind of incubators is really making a lots of change when it comes to nurturing the ideas in the very ground level. I'm saying like the idea stage, in POC, or maybe up to MVP. So that even in the Startup India policy, they also allocated some idea grants, even state level and center level. They did lots of such initiative like seed funds, Startup India seed fund kind of. So there the real things are happening, like they're bringing all the incubators, they're doing that hub related concept where the startups can get in, they can research, they can do the R&D. So it's like typical that medical term we say, that incubation, that in India, it's really helping on that. So any companies who can't naturally grow, they are getting into that initial phase of the incubation, which getting all the external support, which they can go up to at least a POC to an MVP level. Then they can go to the scale up stage, etc. In India, you won't believe that even the tier 3 cities level, you see any universities change to an incubation, and directly the policies driven by the startup cells in India. So it's a channel creator. If you say AAC for AAC centers for the hardware related, and normal TBIs are there, university level startup India incubators are there. So it's a rooted across the India. That's why you can see that recognized startup goes 140K plus startups.
Yeah.
When it comes to India. So it's really giving them a lifting part. Of course, being in incubator for all the time won't help for them. Also, there are certain startups doing that, but they have to come out, then do the rest things. So that's one. Of course, accelerations, which when the incubation period is done, there are certain very reputed acceleration is working for the seed level companies, where they can help you to that go to the mature level. And especially when you talking about the investment criteria and all. Now India, the investments also lots of things is happening. All the risk taking is very high. If you compare that funding scale and all, more than 30 billion and all, now the VC related funds is happening in India, and also German funds. You might be known in India, UK, USA, Singapore kind of funds is open initially. But now in the Europe, German comes first for all the European expansion. So German investors also now making a joint collaborative fund, joint funds and all is happening.
Absolutely.
So together these all things, startups are getting a very good platform to grow globally.
No, Vishnu, you touched upon a very important point, and I'll tell you why. Because whenever I meet some startups and all, I always tell them that make Germany as your hub to service your European customers. And I think this is a learning I have from my past roles, and I've seen that major corporates are also following the same trend. And you just touched upon a very important point about government. See, private sector is doing whatever they can, but in last couple of months, I came across a few delegations coming from India, which were actually backed by government, including yours, and it was quite exciting, I would say. The mix of people, the mix of ideas, it was brilliant. But now let me ask you that when it comes to policies, a policy can either push you or it can hinder you. And government is normally, a kind of takes initiative which actually pushes you. But do you think that the government policies are doing enough to push the German fintechs and the Indian startups, to exchange their ideas and grow up and follow up with them to ensure their success? Maybe Sebastian, you can start with this, please.
I do believe you can still do more than what we see today. And one of the issues is indeed that left alone, what can you do as a startup, right? You want to expand, you want to explore markets. If there's no support, you have to do it on yourself. And what I have observed in the past is that you either tend to join a delegation just to have an opportunity to get to know the target market or connect with some of the key players, if you find key players over there. And the other one is you hire some consultants. You have connected with over, I don't know, different ties, or not even being really aware of what the value add is. This consultant can bring to the table, and this very often doesn't work.
I agree.
So I think everything that works a bit more structured, where you have support in being connected to the right people that help you with business development, that help you with understanding the specific needs of the corporates, the segment, that will help. And I just saw that recently there was a new scale-up program launched in India to address exactly this need. 4 companies that have already proven product market fit, that are established in their home country, and now want to expand, want to grow, want to scale. And they do this by connecting the founder, the team, with the relevant people in the target markets. Experienced business development people, so that they have really an added value by going and stepping into the market.
I think KFW or Invest Venture Capitals, I think these guys have really done quite well. But as you rightly said, there is still something more to be done in this sector. When I see India, if you talk about funds for startups, or maybe the Digital India Initiative or Startup India Initiative, how do you see, Vishnu? How's that pushing up the startups to go to the next stage?
Yes. So when it comes to India, I want to share some insight as per the startups perspective. So there are 2 ways you have to see government support. One, of course, which startup founders definitely required, or they can request government on the legal tax system, because that's only controlled by the government, where even multiple improvements we can ask, etc. For the startups to do ease of business, tax related. Even India, there is a known system that tax incentives, which is no tax up to 3 years and all like that. Certain policies, of course, it's government control. They are doing. They can even improve more. That we are looking. But when it comes to product related, for example, when it comes to idea to a POC and POC to MVP, for the research grant, internationalization, making them to attend in different summit. This and all, already government is doing a lot, as per my knowledge, across the state, across the central government, Startup India. They're implementing lots of just to make them push. But there are certain cases that startups understanding, and in a different way, they fully depend on the government. If there is a need, they're always going back to the government for this kind of areas, giving more grants, support. That won't work. Up to a stage, an idea to a POC or some stage, we can use this and all. Then the companies should self-sustain and penetrate with their own financials to go anywhere. That time the delegation kind of system will definitely give them a platform. But that platform, the startup have to use wise, and they have to take care. But beyond some point, you can't depend, or you can't ask government in this particular sectors. So there, that understanding for the mature startups should required, awareness should be required. That of course government is giving you a hand, but the government can't lift you and take and sit, because you are all mature, you are scale up. So you can, it's like a small push will be there, but we can't expect more. But for example, there are multiple initiatives now. Even as you told, multiple delegation is coming because of the policies. Now the state government and many systems is helping them to go to a different country, explore, and for an example, the recent one, Department of ITBT Karnataka under the Global Innovation Alliance, they're supporting the Karnataka company to go different places and understand the market. Similarly, every different states is doing, okay, when it comes to T-Hub, etc., Startup India, they're doing it. So, but startups have to understand that it's just a push. You can't fully depend on it. You can't, government can do a limitation in this sector, but of course policy tax, we can even request more ease of related things, but of course that government should do, government only can do that. So that difference we have to understand, and we can ask according to it, which as per my perspective.
And in Germany, you have, of course, also some offerings, right? Like
Yeah.
the German Accelerator helps companies from Germany to explore international markets in the US, also in Asia. So.
No, absolutely. And Vishnu, I can't agree more on what you mentioned about the taxes and all. But I'm fairly certain that government is listening on both sides. And, as you both mentioned, there are quite a lot of initiatives happening on these fronts as well. Coming next to innovation and technology, these are the driving forces behind the success of these startups, and they let the startups, disrupt and solve complex problems. What opportunities do you see when it comes to a collaboration between India and Germany startups in advancing cutting edge technologies? Maybe Vishnu, if you can just start with that.
When it comes to this India kind of things, we are known for now the recent adoptions and all. You can see that ready to change, etc. is very high. There is government itself is helping even the tender smoothing policies and all. You might be seeing any startups can apply to the government SMEs or etc. They can do some kind of application, piloting application and all happening. But when, as per my experience, when it comes to Germany and all, it's a little bit, it takes time, etc. But there are multiple initiatives. Now it's happened, even one project from Asia Berlin, that initiative. There are some corporate, they are tying up in different sectors like mobility, energy, etc. Where they're making a platform to make German companies as well as Indian companies join together and work. So especially in this technology related, there are certain sectors they're selecting. According to that, they are driving. For example, your initiatives like for FinTech and all in Frankfurt, there are lots of things now happening. Of course, Sebastian's initiative, the communities. So it's giving a platform. Now the Europe is opening. India also ready to adopt and jointly do something. Initiatives are coming up. And now Europe is started accepting the solutions from India. Even they're known for the missionary related things, but the technology, for example, there is a company called Switch On or something which we helped. So most of the AI maintenance application, they're providing to this kind of industries in Europe. So that kind of collaboration is now happening, and there are lots of initiatives happening from the government level also. GI sets program, lots of program is happening. So that giving us hope that of course in the coming years, Germany, India, startup collaborating, doing and solving a problem will be very high.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's my goal.
Sebastian.
I mean, naturally, I would see the software and analytics sector as an interesting field for the Indian technology, the Indian founders. FinTech, you mentioned it already. There we see already some collaborations also with larger German banks. Not so sure how the solutions are in the agriculture and food tech space. I would be very much interested in learning a bit more about this. Here, of course, you have also some good opportunities in Germany and Europe. But that would be my three fields to do some collaborative work, support also the founders on both sides.
Yeah. When it comes to startups, the market expansion and scalability is something that every startup is looking at. Let's take some examples of Delivery Hero, Rocket Internet, Blah Cars, or maybe Zoho, Happiest Mind. These are some names which have been quite successful in Germany and in India. How can Indian startups effectively enter the European market and vice versa? Although, these are all successful cases, what I mentioned, but I'm fairly certain that there are many cases which were not so successful. So, you both have been seeing this market very closely. So, what is your take on what is the first step, or how do you enter a market from both sides? Maybe Sebastian.
It relates a bit to my point I made earlier, right? In terms of how can you actually really understand your target market and which kind of support does actually help. And as I said, this program which was launched recently in Bengaluru, that goes, I think, from my perspective, into the right direction. Yeah? Okay. As part of this program, you would then be connected perhaps to the profiles of people such as ex-VPs of Zalando or others that have already had the experience of expanding, where they can actually give their knowledge to the next generation of founders. That's the kind of quality of ties and relationships founders should look to get.
So it's kind of, enter, learn, merge with the society.
And get matched with the right people that can really support you, and not only sell their services and just waste your time and energy. I think that's the clue. And here governments can help, support organizations can help to also navigate through the jungle, because there are, of course, a lot of offerings, I guess, in both countries. So it's more about picking the quality ties and the quality programs to get there.
Vishnu, what's your view on that?
So when it comes to my experience, like startups, when it comes to the mature stage, they are planning to scale to a different country. When it comes to Germany or whatever, so I always suggest them. They might be good in product. They already proven that in the home country. But the challenge, what they are always when they start ignoring the cultural related, legal related things, because they want to understand the system there before they start. So there are how the policy, how the tax related things, what is the legal structure there. When you go from one country to another country, of course, even we can know the target market, some kind of marketing and all we can do after understanding the customers, etc. But there are certain mistakes we can't undo, is like without understanding the policies, what we can do in that country. You can't simply copy pasted the entire things to the other country. It's completely different. And most important, people think like, okay, let's go to Germany, we will get fund there and we can raise. If you're not proven in your home country, I won't even recommend them. You want to penetrate with your own finance first. Is I'm saying not a general case, maybe rare case, there are certain R&D grant, etc. Some startup there, but in general, you have to be very well prepared, understand the market before you start. Starting is easy in anywhere, which I believe, but maintaining it and running a business, going through this all legal related systems, it needs proper understanding. Exactly what Sebastian said, like there are certain programs. Of course, YCSL also working in this particular things to solve the gap. We are doing lots of delegation program, connecting to the right people, like the way Indo-German centers are doing. So there are many people are there to help them to give the awareness, informations. Of course, they can connect the founders who already, not like high level, even Zogo, everything is there. There is silently, there are certain small startups also doing very easily. You can bring them in it, the sessions you are doing. So let them learn first.
Correct.
Get the more information. It's already available by the initiatives like you doing. So let them go through program, attend summits, then they can start. That's what my views. When they're approaching a European market, they have to do that. But of course, the opportunity is there. Europe is open. All people can now explore it. Certain sectors are very aggressive.
I mean, companies should, of course, focus, right? But I think it cannot be early enough. Yeah, if you really have this vision of expanding at a certain point in time to really get connected early on. It's with the investors the same, right? It's never it's never too late. Yeah? You should start early building your connections, relations to learn where to build ties, where to build relationships. Maybe one example from the past at TQ, we offered a landing pad, a kind of small program for international companies. We invited them to Frankfurt, and as part of this 2-3 days landing pad, we also had the regulator joining, and he was talking a bit about the regulatory environment, and that was really interesting for the startups, because then they understood, this is how the business model could work or won't work. And for many of them, that was just an important message to go back and then decide whether to change or just look at a different country.
Actually, Sebastian, very nice point that you made. In fact, if you look at India or Germany, the governments and the regulators are actually giving a sandbox to the startups and fintechs to actually start, experiment and fail and restart. And I think that's one of a very bold step from a regulator point of view, and I cannot agree more to you. And in fact, Vishnu, a point that you made, good that you mentioned about it, culture, because I think we always used to say in Germany that the pricing does not break a deal. It's a cultural difference that breaks a deal, and it's true when it comes especially to India and Germany, because we are talking of two different cultures. And when in the beginning you mentioned about the startup cultures, and if you see, there's a stark difference that you see on both sides of the world. Coming to the next question, that's about the social entrepreneurship. So when it comes to social entrepreneurship, I was quite excited actually to meet a few of the people, a few of the startups at TechQuartier. Again, with Kava, there were a lot of initiatives which were in that direction. But I would also like to understand that when it comes to VCs, how do they perceive such initiatives which are going in kind of a social entrepreneurship, or say in a green sector? How do they look at such startups? Vishnu, maybe. Yeah.
So this is really in India also it's booming, and Europe of course is known for because of the strong policies nowadays. The demand is very high when it comes to this kind of programs. But when it comes to VC, as per my knowledge, etc., there are lots of VCs have a separate social relevant projects. Even for example, if you're social alpha, Tata related trust. So the funding culture is always there, but that doesn't mean that whoever starting with that sector will get a kind of an investment. Of course, without investment also there are certain companies doing quite good also. Yes, it's not only from India, not only from Germany. If you see, this particular thing is I think it's common everywhere. I think I'm seeing in both sides also it's demand is there. So we opened lots of such initiatives in that particular sector. Even though I'm not a deep domain expertise, but when it comes to initiatives, it's happening in India as well, even in Europe also, because I've been in both places, things are happening, especially that energy related.
Yeah.
I mean, even the mobility, they are implementing that. That also is connecting with social. So multiple connecting things are happening in different sector, and they are all merging and trying to do that. Initiatives are happening in India as well as Europe, as per my.
But Sebastian, your view?
Yeah, it's important to distinguish a bit between VC backed cases and the rest of.
Because my main actually concern is from the VC point, because I want to know that from your experience, how do they look at it?
Yeah, so we are talking about really the smaller share of the startup scene that is VC compatible. And that means actually, if impact, be it social or green or whatever, comes at the cost of return, VCs have in general an issue. And this issue isn't really solved. Because VCs want to return and invest to their partners, limited partners, to their financiers. The government has done a lot to channel more also private money into the kind of impact-related fields, sustainability-related fields. And here they have Articles 8 and 9 now, where you have to adhere and comply with all the things. That is per se a good idea, right? To also have funds going into more impact-driven companies, but they come again also at a cost of more reporting, more bureaucracy for the startups, and some of the founders really have a hard time to follow up with all the reporting requirements. Yeah. So it's still in the making, but you see there's an interest, there's a political will to drive more investment into the green, but per se, VCs, the traditional VCs, they are very much financially driven. Yeah, because they are financially driven. Yeah. So I think it doesn't make sense to put everything in one bucket and to tell people, now everybody is on impact. It's not that easy, and many startups would agree.
I guessed as much. But Vishnu, I mean, just coming over to you, because we have seen that there are a lot of new trends that are coming up, and when we talk about the green part and all, is also, I would say, kind of a new trend which startups and ecosystems are working on. But if you see from India perspective, what are the new emerging trends that you see has a potential to disrupt, and especially in an Indo-German corridor, I'm saying, like with the expertise that Germany has over technology and the kind of manpower and the pace at which we work in India. How do we collaborate and get something on a global level when it comes to the future trends? Can you just name a few of them?
So I just share the specific insights on how Germany, India, and all. So when it comes to Germany, lots of digital adoptions is required. Of course, still the strong machinery related, engineering related things are going, but the advanced digital related things and things are there demanding. And now, of course, that Indian solutions are now moving, especially when it comes to the AI related. That I don't want to mention, because we all know that India is known for that kind of an advanced IT digital related. Of course, it's already years before itself the IT ICT related happened, but now this kind of startup solution when it comes to this technology digital related is happening. At the reverse part, if you see, India is trying to adopt that more advanced mobility related things, energy related, and of course there are one case as we discussed previously, the sustainability, the strong policies of Europe is leading lots of Indian who doing an R&D on sustainability more than India. They prefer going to Europe and understand how they can do the R&D and do some because more demand there. Even the grants are announced. I can see the European grants is known for Europe is known for this research grants. They're moving there. So these are the three areas which I think India is trying to adopt from Germany. When it comes to this energy sustainability and mobility related advanced technology, they are trying to implement and solving in India. The reverse part is the digital adoption is happening from Germany, and they're seeking the solutions from India. So this is the way they are trying to collaborate. Sometimes they both join together. One in digital space, one in machinery space, and try. For example, there is an initiative Berlin did called Urban Mobility Berlin India, where that problem statements in India, traffic related, the urban, government of Karnataka and all is implemented, and the German companies coming from Berlin and Indian companies join together and trying to solve. So this kind of initiative is happening.
Got it. In fact, we just have a question coming up. Maybe Sebastian, it would be great if you can answer. Which startup sector fields from India could be most attractive for expansion in Germany?
I mean, we heard already a few
from your view.
A few topics. As I mentioned earlier, I think in the FinTech space, around open finance, open data, with all the experiences that India collected over the last couple of years, there might be interesting touch points. Software analytics, AI, like these are the technologies that are needed by various segments. Yeah? So this is a quite open field. I'm a bit more familiar with the FinTech and agricultural space, so that's why I also see there some opportunities. And vice versa, I think, and I liked your idea, I would wish, and I also see already some activities going on, that we see even more of green tech innovation being adopted or being exported to other countries. I mean, we had recently a visit from the State Secretary of the US, who is looking into green tech innovation in Germany, with all the engineering, the knowledge from universities, from the research institutions, which could then be brought to the market, not only in Germany, but also in India. That would be a nice mission going forward.
Perfect, thank you. And we are almost at the end of our talks, and before we close, I would request to have a final word from both of you on a specific question. Vishnu, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs in India who are looking to set up their shops in Germany? And then maybe you can answer the other way around. So Vishnu, over to you.
Yeah, as I told you, told the startups before, that you should prepare, just first do the homeworks in the home country. Just make enough penetration in the first in our home country. And because when it comes to international expansion, you need to be very financially strong, etc. I'm saying the general case. And please understand the new markets, different legal tax, cultural, the customer behavior, what kind of a market fit. So you have to make a proper study before you are putting your things. And one more important, of course, learning from online, everything is fine, but go physically meet people. Because in Germany, as per my understanding, the trust built when we meet people to people. So even for my personal experience, I met multiple persons. When they see twice or thrice, the people trust. Once they trust in Germany, then as you rightly said, Sebastian said in the beginning, once you do business in Germany, then you can do anywhere like that. So, but that building trust is take times. So especially in this case, not only Germany, anywhere if you go, please understand and go meet, connect with them, understand the market, then you start. Because starting might be again I said in the before, it might be easy, but sustaining is very hard. So just do the expansion on the right time with a proper understanding. And the best thing, maybe I always suggest to have a good partner there, something that may add more value. If you have a right partners, if you get from that region, is also one of the thing I recommend. Or good collaboration with one of the startups or something there also may reduce the risk in my point of. But it doesn't mean it's a mandatory. I'm just saying you analyze according to your each and every company. You have to strategize according to it. But these are the certain cases, and there are people like Indo-German centers, hubs like Sebastian's, VCS, all we are there to connect you with the right audience. So please go through many are there. I'm not saying one, many are there. You go everywhere and understand, then plan.
Sure.
That's what my advice.
Sure. Sebastian, a quick one from you.
What can I add? I mean, you said everything. Just want to highlight the fact that you should really prepare. That makes absolute sense. And then pick the right partners. You don't have to do it on your own. There's enough out there, and if you don't connect or don't know anybody, then just connect with Vishnu and the Indo-German Center, and then everything should be fine.
Well, thank you. I think just to summarize what I understood in last 45 minutes is that yes, there are a lot of initiatives taken at both sides. There is a willingness to come together and do business, but still there are some hurdles which remain. Like, in any other initiative or business, I think with times that would also be taken care. But I don't have a doubt in my mind after our talks that this relationship between India and Germany will grow exponentially in years to come. I would like to thank you, Vishnu, for joining us from India, and Sebastian, thank you so much for your time today. And for our audience there, we tried to summarize, your questions by way of, interactions, and I'm sure that all the questions that you asked were addressed during this discussion. For our audience, we would just like to mention that these talks happen every month. So if you want to follow what's happening between India and Germany on various fronts, please follow us, and this recording will be shared on YouTube as well, where you can subscribe to our channel. If there are any topics which you would like us to highlight or address in our next talks, please feel free to write it to us, and we'll ensure that we cater to that. Thank you once again, Sebastian and Vishnu, for your time, and I'm wishing you all the very best with whatever initiatives you are doing, and hopefully see you soon. Thank you to our audience, and wishing you all a good day ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Sebastian.